Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It is episode 2 of the Madden 21 franchise rebuild featuring the Philadelphia Eagles. A quick recap and a spoiler alert for those of you who haven't watched episode 1 yet. In the 2020 season, under the Ryan Derson leadership, the Eagles went 13-3, won the division, went on to win the conference, and beat the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl 28-18. A really fun season, put up some good stats. This whole entire episode is going to be the offseason going into year 2. And as I glanced over on the last episode, our cap is a mess. Going into the offseason here, we have available cap room is negative 24.64 mil. So we are in bad shape. One of the reasons I wanted to do the rebuild with the Eagles, because I knew I had to reconstruct this roster. So really not in good shape. We can't sign any free agents, and even after the draft, we're going to have to make some cuts and some trades and some really tough decisions going into season 2 just to get our salary cap above the threshold. So moving right and taking a look at our roster again, you can see terrible cap space, but we have some players on the back end of their deals, namely Kelsey, Ertz, Cox, some guys we're going to look to trade, and we're going to get into those details here. Draft picks available. You can see we have 3 first-rounders. Again, we went over that in the preseason of episode 1 there. We attained 3 first-round draft picks, a second-rounder, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. So we're top-heavy in the draft, which I'm okay with, and this draft class is going to be a lot of fun. But what are we going to do with that number 1 pick? I'm sure you're wondering. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is available. We don't need a quarterback, but I'll tell you what, Trevor Lawrence is an appealing player. It crossed my mind to try and get rid of Ertz, but his cap or his current contract structure going into this year, it's just not movable. So we're going to hold on. And we looked at trading that pick, but we ended up not trading it. But we did trade Brandon Graham, Zach Ertz, and a 7th rounder. And we acquired from the Cardinals another first-round pick. That gives us 4 and a 5th. So really looking good with 4 first-rounders in the draft. And also taking a look at free agency. We can't sign any of these players, but I just wanted to go over the free agency, see where everybody ended up. So top available free agents heading into the 2021 season are Levante David, Awuzu, who's a former cornerback with the Dallas Cowboys, I believe. Former Eagle, Roby Coleman. Leonard Fournette is available for the taking. Matt Prater. Levante David ended up with the Cleveland Browns, a big pick for them. Desmond King signed with the New England Patriots. Marcus Williams, a safety from New Orleans, goes to Miami. Rob Gronkowski goes to the New York Jets. So interesting pickup there. Looks like he'll end his career in New York. John Johnson, another safety from Los Angeles Rams, ends up with the Dolphins. So you can see the Dolphins really securing the back end of that defense after they spent money in previous years at the cornerback position. Now they go to safety and they shore up that defensive backfield moving into their franchise. Mike Hilton, the cornerback, he signs with the Colts. Keanu Neal from Atlanta goes to Baltimore. That's a fit right there if I ever saw one. Another fit here, James Conner ends up in Baltimore. It's be interesting to see how they divvy up the snaps there between, Mark Ingram. They obviously have J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State, and now throw James Conner into the mix. So going to be a top running team once again in the 2021 season. Awuzu ends up in Jacksonville. J.C. Jackson from New England wasn't getting enough playing time there. He ends up going to Seattle. Another good fit. Roby Coleman, the Buffalo. Bud Dupree goes to Washington, so they're really looking to bolster that pass rush with guys like Chase Young and now adding Bud Dupree. DeCarest McKinley also goes to Buffalo. Leonard Fournette joins the Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Rob Gronkowski, and he goes to New York. So it looks like those guys down south are heading up north. Trey Burton, interesting pickup by New England. I like it. I think he'll put up stats with New England. Another big target, New England, Devin Funchess. Jonnu Smith, tight end from Tennessee, ends up with Carolina. They had a real big glaring need at tight end, so they pick one up there. The Villanueva, the tackle from Pittsburgh, ends up in Washington. And here we go. Colin Kaepernick ends up with the Indianapolis Colts. He's going to look to start for that franchise. really looking forward to see how that turns out. He's rated a 78 overall, and he's likely, with that paycheck, he's going to be starting for them next year. So really looking forward to that. Last one, Corey Lindsey, center, ends up in Seattle as well. Here we are, the NFL Draft 2021 offseason with the number 1 overall pick. So I'm sure you're curious, what are we going to do? Obviously, we're not going to take Trevor Lawrence because we have Carson Wentz. We also have Hurts back there at the quarterback position. So what are we going to do? And I thought about this a lot. We could obviously bolster the offensive line. We could bolster the defensive line. There were a lot of players available. We could even go wide receiver here. We got rid of some wide receivers last year, so it couldn't hurt to build that. But we also have 4 first-round picks, so it's important to note. Take a look at our draft board here, and these are not all the players available. These are the players that I'm looking at to draft in the first round here. So we have Sewell, the highly rated tackle out of Oregon. He's at the top of the list right now. I wasn't sure which way we're going to go, but we're likely going to take him number 1. Jamar Chase, Micah Parsons from Penn State. Rondale Moore, that wide receiver out of Purdue. Really like him. Think he could be a fit with this roster. Trying to get me Patrick Surtain to shore up that cornerback spot. We lost Coleman, the free agency, and Darius Slay isn't getting any younger, so we need to rebuild that position to a degree. I have Trey Lance on the list. I like Trey Lance, fast quarterback. Always love me a guy who can run from the quarterback position, and another security blanket. So if he's available late in round 2, quarterbacks tend to slip. We wouldn't hesitate to pick him up, but we'll see what happens. We also need to replace Jason Kelsey moving forward. He's old and in his deal. So we're also looking at Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma as a potential top pick. Taking a look at, I don't know how to say this guy's first name, I won't lie. So I'm just going to go with the last name, Sewell. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Taking a look at his combine results, 36 reps on the bench press, great grades overall at pass blocking, run blocking, all that stuff. So we ended up taking the 6'5", 350 offensive lineman out of Oregon, Sewell, hidden dev trait. We think he's got to be a fit. Probably going to move him to guard initially. Our tackle positions are pretty good there with Dillard at left tackle and our right tackle position being Lane Johnson. We believe in Dillard. We think he can be the tackle of the future. He fits our scheme. So we're probably going to start Sewell off at guard and figure out what we're going to do with him moving forward. The Miami Dolphins with the second overall pick ended up going with the defensive end from Miami, Gregory Rousseau. Then Micah Parsons from Penn State goes 3rd overall to the Detroit Lions. Jamar Chase, the highly touted wide receiver from LSU, ends up with the Miami Dolphins from the 4th overall pick. I like that pick for them. They need some weapons for Tua. You see the Minnesota Vikings going with Dylan Moses. Interesting pickup, because if you saw on episode 1, Eric Kendricks had a really great year for them. I believe he won the NFC Defensive Player of the Year. So interesting selection there. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Seems a little high in my opinion for Dylan Moses, a middle linebacker. In any case, moving on. Oakland Raiders went with a left guard, a position of need, Wyatt Davis from Ohio State. Oh, and the rich get richer. Trevor Lawrence slips all the way down to the 7th overall pick, and guess who gets him? The Pittsburgh Steelers. So, you get a 15 to 20-year run with a Hall of Fame quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, and once you know it, you have a down year, top 10 pick, and you get one of the best prospects to come out in my lifetime, Trevor Lawrence. So, really great pick for the Steelers, and just that franchise is looking good moving forward. And a guy we were really looking to draft, so disappointed he went in division. Patrick Surtain goes to the Giants. Atlanta Falcons take another guy we were looking at, Rondale Moore. So limited, took out some guys that we were really looking to add to our franchise. But he's going to be a fit there in Atlanta as well. Looking at our potential picks here with the 10th overall pick, and I have to keep reminding myself I have another 2 picks in this round. But Kyle Pitts is at the top of the list. Shaun Wade is a close second. We obviously need corner. But I'm going to move on from Ertz. So I think I actually already did. But anyways, I love having 2 tight ends. I don't really know that I want to re-sign Goddard. if I can have a guy like Kyle Pitts on the roster and run 2 tight end sets until Goddard's contract runs out, and then not re-sign him, not waste that cap space, and keep Pitts on the rookie deal, I'm going to do that. So I went ahead and took Kyle Pitts, ran a 4.64 to the combine with a 34.8-inch vertical. I love this player from Florida. He's going to be a real fit for us at tight end and eventually take over that position. Hidden dev trait, 78 overall. Number 3rd in true value. We took him at 10. Then we move on. Carlos Basham Jr. from Wake Forest goes to Jacksonville. And now, thank goodness they did not take Shaun Wade, because that's a player we really want out of Ohio State. We went ahead and took him. Another hidden dev trait, 11th overall in true value. We took him at 12. Just a fit schematically with a man-to-man corner, pedigree from Ohio State, highly recruited player. He's going to be a fit for us, and we're gonna move him in. We usually play 3 corners anyways, at least my defensive coordinator does. So he's going to get a lot of PT right up front, and moving on in the future seasons, he's going to be our premier shutdown corner, hopefully. So skipping ahead here, we'll recap the draft for you in a bit, but skipping ahead at the end of the first round, taking a look at our board. Again, Trey Lance still available at the end of the first round. Some interesting players here. Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama. I thought about taking him. We do have A.J. Dillon. I like the idea of having a real power back to back up Miles Sanders. Obviously, a safety from Florida State there available as well. But at the end of the day, we play 4 corners a lot, and we really only have 3 guys right now who can really play. And I'd like Asante Samuel Jr. His father, a former player in this franchise, a great player in this franchise, playmaker in the defensive backfield, something we really need to continue with this franchise. So we're going to go ahead and select Asante Samuel, and once you know it, he's got a hidden dev trait. Not the highest rated player on the draft board by any means, only rated at 69, ranked 49th in true value. We took him at 32, but we really believe we can develop this guy, and he'll eventually be a starting corner and get a ton of snaps and make a lot of plays for our defense. Skipping ahead, here we are. End of round 2, pick number 25. Trey Lance is still on the board. This was a tough pick because I really like Shaka Toney. I think he could add to our pass rush on the defensive side of the football, but how fun would that be? Not much. I went ahead. I got me Trey Lance, hidden dev trait, 26th in overall value. We took him at 57. It's a great pick. He's already better than Hurts with that 73 overall rating, so Hurts is going to slide into 3rd string. And we're gonna get Lance some playing time, similar to what we did with Hurts last year. We're gonna see what he can do as a rookie, and either A, build up that overall and get some trade value for him later in his career in that 2nd, 3rd year, or B, we're gonna develop him, see how he looks, see how he plays. And if Carson Wentz isn't continuing to win Super Bowls, we might move on from Carson and start Lance. So going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now you got to look at Hurts as a potential trade moving forward. Skipping ahead, again, we went with Kyrese Tonga out of, I believe, BYU. Yes, BYU. Scheme fit, 65 overall, 164 in true value. We got him at 148, but a position of need. I just wanted to get some depth on that defensive line. Not much else said about that. Moving ahead, not a lot of picks in the middle of the rounds, but skipping late 6th round, number 32 in the 6th round. Demetrius Robertson, a wide receiver out of Georgia. Deep threat, scheme fit. We took him 65 overall. Looked like a good pick. Then, very last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. We went with a local guy from the Lehigh Valley, Parkland High School grad, went to Temple University initially, entered the transfer portal, went to Baylor. He ended up at Ole Miss. Kenny Yeaball out of Parkland High School is now a Philadelphia Eagle, and he's our 3rd or 4th string tight end, but, he's a fun player. He's got some speed, 4.68, 40, got some athleticism. He fits what we want to do from an offensive scheme standpoint. So we're going to look to develop him, and eventually he may be our number 2 tight end. Not the greatest rating overall, but hey, developmental pick nonetheless at the end of the round. Again, just to recap, we got Sewell, Pitts, Wade, Samuel Jr., Trey Lance, Tonga. Robertson, and Yayball to complete our draft class. Excited about this draft. Obviously, we had 4 first-round picks, so how could you go wrong? But really happy we got Yayball there at the end. Again, just going to recap a couple highlighted players here. Rondale Moore, a guy we wanted, went to Atlanta. Patrick Surtain to New York Giants. Brevin Jordan, tight end out of Miami, went to the Jets. Interesting there because they also signed Gronkowski, so they're going to look to do a lot of 2 tight end sets. Ravens draft here, they always kill the draft, so I'm sure they did. Justin Fields out of Ohio State ends up going to the Washington football team. Their second Ohio State quarterback they've taken in just a couple of years. I think he'll pan out better than the previous. Justin Fields is going to be a really good player in the NFL. Marquise Haynes out of Oklahoma goes to Seattle. Walker Little, Stanford, goes to the Texans. The tight end from Penn State, Pat Freiermuth, ends up with Tennessee Titans. They lost Jonnu Smith in free agency, so that's a really, really solid pickup for them. Guy I was looking at as well, but with Pitts available, I went Pitts instead of the guy from Penn State. Again, Dylan Moses going to the Vikings. And then we decided to move on from Jason Kelce. Obviously, we drafted Sewell with that first pick. Our tackle positions are solid, so we slid him in at guard. And then we are going to move Isaac Seumalo over to that number 1 position at center. So Kelce's out. We got a 3rd-round pick for him. I was kind of hoping to get more, but an aging player, last year the deal, I'm happy to get what I can get with a 3rd-rounder from him. So it is what it is, but in any case, that's really going to recap the offseason. We're going to structure this roster a little bit moving into year 2, and we're going to come back and give you our overall depth charts and over that in the 3rd episode of this series. But again, just to recap the episode, we had 4 first-round draft picks. Really, like I said in the beginning of episode 1, our roster was a mess in terms of cap space, so we had to move on from guys like Ertz, Graham, Kelce. We had to move on and get some draft picks and get some young talent in here, and that's exactly what we did. Coming off the Super Bowl, we're going to look to repeat in year 2, and we're going to see you back here on the Durson Network, episode 3, coming up shortly on the Eagles rebuild, Madden 21 franchise rebuild with the Philadelphia Eagles. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Give me your input on my draft picks. Let me know if you thought I should have taken somebody else or anything like that, and we'll see you back here for year 2 of the franchise rebuild with the Philadelphia Eagles. Thanks, everybody.